was going to kill somebody for him. Went to this house, had the gun, pulled the trigger, didn't go off. Pulled it again, didn't go off. I ended up hitting the guy with it, and I honestly thought he was dead. I got shot twice over a cocaine deal. They weren't shooting at me, but I was there. I turned 22 in prison. I was 18. I have nobody at this point. I'm in East St. Louis by myself. And looking back on that, you know, like you said, God will give you gifts, and you can either abuse it or you can use it to further advance his kingdom. And I abused it for the majority of my life. I 100% at one point was a fake Christian. As in, I got a cross tattoo, I wore a cross necklace, but I was gonna go out and do an 8-ball every weekend and whatever I wanted to do. It was an accessory. I was a fan, not a follower.
What brought you to make a decision to finally get sober?
And one night I went to downtown Nashville. I was living in Chattanooga. I went to downtown Nashville and I met with a guy, and I did cocaine until about 6 a.m. Ran out of cocaine, had a bottle of tequila left, finished it, and started to, you know, things started to wear off. I started feeling weird and paranoid and things like that. I'm like, man, I'm not driving back to Chattanooga tonight. So I just pulled in a random parking lot and tried to go to sleep. I fall asleep, and I promise you, I woke up at like 2 p.m. the next day, drenched in sweat. When I opened my eyes, the first thought that I had, like something was different, man. The first thought that I had was, I'm done. I'm done. And there was nothing difficult about it. There wasn't anything difficult about it. That day was the last time that I ever drank. That day was the last time that I ever used drugs. And that day was the last day that I ever sold drugs. Sobriety was like a night and day. It seemed more to me like I've removed your heart of stone and gave you a heart of flesh. You know what I mean? I could be wrong, but it doesn't matter now. You know what I mean? Like from now, just do the work. You know, go out and make disciples of all nations, and try to use the gifts that God's given me to share my testimony and, you know, ultimately lead people to him.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Resilient Show. I am here with Garrett Gross. Garrett, glory to God, Gross. And if you guys don't know about Garrett, he's a professional MMA fighter, has won a world championship as a professional in welterweight.
Actually, it's middleweight.
Middleweight.
Yeah. I didn't even cut any weight.
Yeah, he's just walking around in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a 185er, but
yeah,
but I'm old.
Garrett's a big dude. I rolled with him last night. Big, strong dude. He got 30 professional fights, about 30 professional MMA fights. You've been around a long time. You fought like, what's his name? What's his name? Remember my name?
Remember the name.
Remember the name. Yeah. Everybody said, it's kind of funny. Everybody's like, what's his name? But remember the name. What's his name?
Bilal Muhammad.
Bob, I'm just joking. Yeah. Yes. You fought some, tough Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah. In Brazil, actually, it was crazy, but that's a story we could talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that. You got your own gym, Backwoods American Jiu Jitsu, and kind of ditch the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu name because we can wrestle too here in America, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And you're just doing some awesome things, man. And we met with some mutual friends. Pastor Joby Martin, who's a great friend of mine. Yeah. Great friend of yours. Yeah. And Mike Dragic.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, you're sporting the Mike Dragic shirt right now. But I got to tell you, you didn't do this when Mike came on the show. I'm a dime him out here.
Yeah.
Before we started recording, he got down to do some push-ups to pump his biceps up before.
Yeah, just because he's my brother, I'm going to say that I did go to the weight room in the hotel and do some curls before I came. So great minds think alike, they say.
Yeah, Mike's awesome. He has Project Savior Outdoors. And you and I went together. And I think you had went right before me. You killed Scrappy.
Scrappy did. I helped guide it.
Yeah. But then I got to slay an alligator. I grew up in Louisiana and hunted a lot of alligators, but I never got on one, held it down, and stabbed it to death.
Yeah, I wish you would have been there for Scrappy's though, man. It was funny.
Well, he said he was like shaking.
Oh, he was nervous. But he did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he was nervous, and it was funny, man. You can talk. He's coming on your show at some point.
He's coming. He's coming.
It'll be a good one to talk about because it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've done it a number of times, right?
Yeah.
You're guiding with Mike. So tell us a little bit about that relationship and you and Mike and what you're doing at Project Savior. Man, got to plug Mike's stuff.
I don't know if there's anybody that I love more than my kids and Mike Dragic.
Yeah.
That dude, I love that dude.
He's an amazing human.
Yeah, he. The Bible says that there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. And honestly, like if my kids are in Illinois, I moved back for my kids in Illinois. But if it wasn't for my kids, I would be in Jacksonville just because of that brotherhood there,
Yeah.
And me and Mike, we met through social media, and it was just like, we talked back and forth. We had a lot of common interests, and most importantly was our faith, and we had talked like about meeting up and linking up, and finally we did. And it was hilarious because we met at one of the gyms that he trained at, and it was like we knew each other for our entire lives. You know what I mean? Like we got out, dude, it wasn't awkward, nothing. It was like hug, walked into the gym like we've known each other forever, man. And just from there, it's built. But it's been awesome. It's been awesome. We stay in touch. We talk weekly. He gets busy, but we'll be laying in bed having FaceTime chats about theology at midnight. But it's an awesome relationship, man. I'm really grateful for him and his family.
Well, he's been on the show, so if you guys don't know who Mike is, go back episodes back and watch Mike's episode. Yeah. But he does Project Savior Outdoors, and you help participate in that. What do you guys like do there?
Yeah, so basically, like he's helping first responders and vets who suicide prevention and things like that, and then he uses Brawler Creek Ranch where you were at to kind of congregate there, have group gatherings that these guys are sponsored into, and they're taking them out on a hunt and discipling them at the same time, man. And it's unless you experience, like, you can't, it's hard to even explain, like seeing guys come out there and something change in them there, see, like hope, really, you know what I mean? Coming into it with beaten down and being around men who are really there to encourage and uplift them.
Yeah.
But most importantly, pointing to Christ and seeing people get saved there and baptized, like, it's awesome, man.
I mean, I tell you, like, I mean, one, Mike's he's just a very unique and incredible human being. You are too. And I was there not to be ministered to. I went there to do ministry. I went there to speak at Pastor Joey's church. We had like 7,000 men show up for that night. Yeah. And before we went out, and but just the fellowship with you guys. I brought a few friends. I brought Terry Wilson and Green Beret. I brought Jim Clock, who's movie producer.
And I still talk to those guys.
Yeah, they're great guys. Yeah. And you and Mike and we and we just went out and not only that, but I grew up in Louisiana. I grew up hunting alligators, but I never did that. Like, we went out and found an alligator in the wild, got him to surface. Mike throws a line, hooks him, pulls him out. We pull him out of the water by our hands and wear him out through play,
Yes.
and then harvest it, kill it.
Right.
That was
the way they do it there is a little bit different, than most people, but it's if you're seeking adrenaline, it's definitely that one. Brawler Creek Range is the one to go to. You know what I mean? And most people are hitting them with a boomstick or shooting them.
Yeah, that's kind of how I did it. Yeah.
We're wearing them out and then letting you jump on their back and stab them. So it's a different experience. Like, you're not going to get that anywhere else.
I mean, even I was watching Mike do it. We'll probably show some videos while we're talking right now, because you've done we got tons of stuff on your social media page, added on mine, but we'll show some videos here. But Mike's like training, and you guys are like showing me how to do it, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I can do that. Yeah. But then when you stand in front of the alligator and he's hissing, and then you go in front of him, you have to close his mouth with your hands to control him enough. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this thing has locked eyes with me, and I'm about to put my hands on it. You can't hesitate, because if you hesitate, you're going to get 100%. bit. Even not hesitating, I'm like 50-50, I'm going to get bit. Like, it's 50, and I'm about to speak in front of 7,000 men with a nub, because I'm not going to cancel speaking because I got my hand bit off. Sure. Like, I'm still going to. But I'm like 50-50, I'm going to get bit right now. Yeah. But man, it was a really intense experience, and dude, you were saying how Scrappy I just did it the day before, and he's a pro MMA fighter, a successful one. Yeah. And it had his nerves rattled. It
was one of the best things I've ever seen, just because he was so nervous. But again, like, we would tell him to do something. He'd be like, no. But he finally did it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you'll have to get some of the video from when he comes on. Yeah. And have you show some of that, dude. It's gold. It's gold for sure.
That's a real cool video of you at nighttime. If we could play it like right now, like at nighttime, you just dive into this.
Oh yeah.
Into this swamp or
I got a little secret spot that I go to. Yeah. Well, this spot specifically, it's got canals along each side of the road, and because the water is pretty shallow, it comes from a different body of water, and it's mostly smaller gators, like 5 foot and under. Okay. It's a good spot to go, just jump and get a little adrenaline. But I'm not gonna die. Yeah. That's why I do it. Yeah. I don't really care to I'll hunt deer and stuff like that because my sons want to. Yeah. But I want to hunt something that might kill me. Yeah. You know, that's why I do it. It's a gator. Yeah, we're good there.
Well, I mean, even a 5 foot alligator bites
you. It'll jack you up, but your chances are a lot better.
You're probably gonna live, but it tear you up.
They could maybe get a finger.
So that just to kind of wrap up what Project Xavier Outdoors does is all to lead people. That experience is a bonding experience with brothers to do something that just kind of takes you outside of your box. And then you and Mike use that as a way to minister to guys and have ministered to a lot of hurting warriors in the first responder military community. It's an awesome effort. Yeah. And it's really cool that you guys do that, give our warriors that experience.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get more involved just with all the stuff that I got going on right now. I haven't been able to go back there as much, but I'm praying that something that I can be more involved in.
One of the things another connection we had that I thought was pretty funny was you were Dana White's Contender series, and you're like, I got my. I lost. I got my jaw broken, and I'm like, "Oh, who'd you fight?" And you're like, "Ro Roberts." Yeah. And I'm like, Ro's a cool dude, and then I realized when him and Jay Lynn were wanting to go to a Contender series, I sent their stuff to Mick Maynard, who's a friend of mine, been on the show, and Mick Maynard's a matchmaker for the UFC, and then Ro. I was coaching at Carlson Gracie Jiu-Jitsu where he was doing Jiu-Jitsu. So I trained with him for that match, not knowing it was going to be you. Right. And here we are. But
that's crazy.
But he's a super cool dude. You guys have different backgrounds, but similar backgrounds. Yeah. And man, I was like so excited when he won that match. And now I'm kind of like bittersweet, man. Bittersweet.
It was one of the coolest and worst experience of my life because when I got the call for that, it seemed like, man, I've worked. So this is what I've been working for years and years and years. Then I get the call. I go to Vegas to fight in front of Dana White, Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, and get my jaw broken in the first round. And having a broken jaw was terrible. It was, they go in and wire your mouth shut. Yeah. So at first they wired my mouth shut, and it was supposed to be on for 8 weeks or something. And it was 3 weeks and I couldn't do it anymore. At first, in theory, you think, okay, well, I'm going to drink protein shakes and eat ice cream for 8 weeks. And then do that for 2 days. No, you want whole food. You crave whole food. I would blend stuff that you never thought you would blend, and I would cook soft things like scrambled eggs and try to shove them in my mouth the little space that I had. Yeah, but eventually, there was actually these 3 screws that I don't know exactly what it was, but I was thinking I wonder if it felt tight all the time, and it had just a flathead screwdriver end, and I took the screwdriver, just a flathead screwdriver and turned it. And it put a gap in my teeth, and it hurt so bad. But then I didn't want to turn it back. Yeah. Because it hurt so bad. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing that again. So I had this little gap in my teeth right in the middle from doing that. Eventually I called, and I told the doctor that did the surgery, or did the wiring, listen, you guys need to take this off. No, we can't take it off. I'm like, okay, if you don't take it off, I'm going to do it. I'm going to cut it off myself. And they're like, okay, come in. And then I get there, and they're like, oh, well, we can just do a surgery and put a plate in. I was like, well, why didn't you guys give me that option the first time? Yeah. Because that's what I would have done. So now I've got a plate in here. Okay. Which was way better than the wire.
The wire shut. Yeah. Yeah, Jared, I remember when Jared got his
Yeah.
Chafee you met last night.
Yeah.
He was fighting a legacy, got a bad jaw break, and he was wired shut. And, and he was same thing. He's like, I'll blend a chicken fried steak just to get some.
Yeah. Anything, man. You get creative with.
But the great kind of little prop to you that you didn't mention there is the fight wasn't over when you got your jaw broken. You got your jaw broken, like I don't know. I can't remember what rope caught you
halfway through the first round,
and you didn't. You didn't stop
fighting. There. I mean, it was even before that, and this is not something that I've told a lot of people about, but I sparred like 7 days prior and got kneed and was pissing blood. And I thought that I was going to get disqualified from the fight, like when I did the urine test,
right?
Because I was still peeing blood, but when I did it, it was clear. And I don't know, I thought going in that I felt fine. I don't know if it had any, took anything away from me.
Yeah.
But it was anxiety going into it just because of that,
Yeah.
But yeah, I come out of the first round and I'm looking at my coach. You can see in the video, and I'm like, my jaw's broke. It felt like little cinders.
Yeah.
Like he'd been crushed, like somebody puts you in a rear naked choke, but it's more across the face.
Yeah.
And it feels like your teeth are going to bust in. They're not really, but it feels like that. Well, they feel like they did.
Yeah.
And there's like little cinders that are in there. That's what it felt like. So the doctor's like looking at me and checking me real hard because it's starting to swell already.
Yeah.
And they let me fight, but like I was telling you the other day, my whole body was weak. Like everything felt weak at that point. And I thought my only chance is to come out and try to knock him out really quick. And I came out and threw a pretty decent flurry, like right out of it into the second round. And he got a hold of me, took me down. I ended up turning into the choke, which I would never do, but he was hitting me in the broken jaw. So I turned into it to escape that pain, and he submitted me.
Yeah.
And then he went on and was doing well.
Did well, yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah, he had some good jiu-jitsu coaches, that's all I'll say.
But yeah, like it was my plan, you know what I mean? It was my plan, and then I thought like, oh, this is of God. Like I've been working for this. And then it was a big learning lesson for me because it wasn't my plan. You know what I mean? And I had to reevaluate a lot of things at that point,
I mean, I know we could talk a lot about life stuff, but just give you some accolades on your. I mean, we rolled last night, and you rolled at our gym, and we had some good training. We got some Patreon content, by the way, of us rolling, but you're freaking tough, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're a monster.
Yeah,
you're legitimate Tom DeBlas black belt.
Yeah,
you're a monster. Like, and we have some really good guys in our gym, and you're getting after it.
The coach's name Jared.
Jared.
He messaged me this morning on Instagram, and I was like, dude, I'm already sore. I'm sore already. So I haven't done that many consistent rolls with high level guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing about our gym. Our gym's loaded.
Yeah.
We have like over 20 black belts in our gym.
Yeah.
And we have constant.
Yeah.
Everyone's competing all the time. So it's like always, you can't go in there just to go in there and have a relax. I'm just go train tonight.
Every round was, I was worn out, even more so in the gi.
Yeah.
I was in the gi. I don't do the gi as much anymore.
Right.
Those guys were wearing me out with the grips.
Yeah,
but it was fun. I loved it.
We, you and I didn't realize till we tied up. You and I have very similar games.
Yeah,
very. Similar
I want to get on top of you and smash you and wear you out and choke you out.
Vice versa. Yeah, vice versa. Yeah, we had last night was a pretty funny night. We'll make fun of Jared on here. He got a infection called herp angina. I don't know what herp angina is.
Doesn't sound good,
but if your friend gets herp angina, you got to make fun of him.
Yeah, 100%.
So we're making fun of his herp angina. And then his herp angina turned into
Bell palsy.
Yeah, it turned into it weakened his system, so he got like temporary Bell palsy. So half his face is paralyzed, and he I think the whole night everybody just busted on him.
Yeah.
That was gut laughing. He just busted on him the whole night with his paralyzed face.
Responds well,
Yeah, well, he dishes it out, so you can. It was. That was good. It was pretty funny. Yeah, so
he's tough though on the ground, man.
Man, he competes a lot. He competes all the time. Yeah, he's. I mean, I've coached him from white belt to black belt, and he's went from being his coach to his peer, and I've had him he's cornered me in most of my fights, like in my bigger fights. He's a great man. Like he's one of my best friends in life. Like Jared's like just a really good him and this guy Rob Johnson. I've been it's funny, neither one of those guys were in the military. Yeah. I guess Rob was Canadian military. Okay. I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, it does.
but they're just my friends off the mats, man. Sure. And they're just great human beings, great dudes. And it's kind of some of my best friends. Yeah. And but Jared's like such a good coach, good leader for that school. That school is what it is because, I haven't had the time to invest in it as a leader. That school is what it is because of Jared.
Sure.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Really cool. So, kind of use that to talk about your school. You're right now. You're the Backwoods. Backwoods American Jiu-Jitsu, right? Yeah. And I'm a big Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. I'm a Carlson Gracie Jr. I'm direct black belt of Carlson Gracie Jr. But I do love, as an American, I do love the fact that you drop the Brazilian name because we in America like we got good grappling here, man. Sure. A lot of jiu-jitsu, obviously came here from Brazil, from Japan to Brazil, made its way here. But American grappling has really influenced jiu-jitsu quite a bit. Yeah. It's changed the art.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the wrestling, basically, And I don't care if it's not a dig at anybody. It's not a dig at the
it's kind of funny though.
I like how it sounds. American. I'm American, so it sounds good. But most of my jiu-jitsu, especially in my early years, was learned from Brazilians. When I was at Top Team and things like that. So, I just opened up about 3 months ago, so it's developing.
Yeah,
but it's going good. It's going good.
And like I said, we're going to dig into your story, but why, of all the things that you can do in life, like you talked about this with the students last night, which I thought was beautiful, the way you talked to what you said to the students, but of all the things you could be doing in life, primarily, why have you chosen to, lean into teaching jiu-jitsu? I
think that, this is what God made me good at. There's other things that I could be good at, but this is the path that I feel called, the ministry that I feel called to use. Mm-hmm. After I moved back to Illinois, I always wanted to start my own gym, but I had so many things going on, and Backwoods American Jiu-Jitsu is actually in another gym called Rise Performance 618, and it was it has a bunch of strongman and weights and membership type deal. And the way that it happened was, so when I usually go and do my kids exchange with their mother, I go to a different town, Murfreesboro, Illinois, and drop them off there. Well, this specific time, they were coming back from a trip that they had been on, and they were coming back a different way. So I was like, well, why don't we just meet in this town? Because it's, it'll be more convenient for both of us. And met them, and on my way back, I was driving back, and I seen the building that my gym's in now, and that it was a gym, but I'd never been there. And I was like, I'm just going to stop there and get a day pass. Mm-hmm. So I stopped in there, and I was doing a workout, and got one of the owners named Dawson Montefiore. He knew who I was from fighting. So where I'm from is Southern Illinois. It's real small. Everybody knows me from fighting. And he came and started to talk to me. I obviously didn't know who he was in the beginning, or that he was a gym owner and things like that. And because he knew me from fighting, he started, asking some questions and talking about that they had jiu-jitsu there at one time, but the coach wasn't consistent and, was canceling classes all the time, wasn't showing up, things like that, and said that he would like to do it again at some point. And I was like, well, let's get together and get to know each other a little bit and see what can happen here. And it was a God thing, because they have the same mission, and it's through what they're good at, to lead people to Christ. They have homeschool programs. Everything that they do is a mission for Christ. So I was like, let's do it. Yeah. Let's do it. And we started, and it's been going, and there's a lot of good things happening there. A lot of good things. So we're excited about it.
Yeah. I think God gives us gifts and talents. And we could abuse them. We could use them for, we could use them for good. We could use them for bad.
Sure.
Yeah, but ultimately, he gives us, he doesn't give us those talents for ourselves. He gives us to make the world around us and people around us better, to serve others. And, I love seeing when people actually put those, connect those dots and turn around and use those gifts and talents to serve.
Yeah. And like I said last night, the purpose of the gym is ministry. Like I want to make you a world champion. I want to make you the best that you can for what you want to do. Everybody comes there for different reasons. If you want to compete, I want to make you a world champion. If you just want to do it for self-defense, to be able to protect your family, I want you to meet those goals. But through the gym, my goal, my hope is that you're around guys that are pointing you towards Christ, encouraging you, uplifting you, and you're becoming a better father and a better husband through those things. Because like I said last night, if I get you to the top tier level, and you're a world champion and black belt and all these accolades, but you die and go to hell, then I've done nothing for you. And I should have said last night too, that I wasn't insinuating that I'm the one that saves anybody, right? Right. It's God, but I can't tell you if you are saved, but I can tell you how to be, so hopefully through our gym, that's what we're able to accomplish. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So now let's jump into, how you got here, because you took the long road.
Yeah.
You're a pretty rough dude, man. Yeah. Tattoos on your face and you don't look like you're a typical minister.
Sure.
You don't just have cauliflower ears, you got like a cauliflower face. I told someone the other day, I'm like, Garrett's like a freaking, like, I consider myself like pretty alpha tough dude.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of own that, because that's how I feel like I am. I got, like, pretty jacked up and stuff like that. But look at Garrett, I'm like, Garrett's like, that's exactly what I said.
The first time Joby saw me, he called me the human pit bull.
Yeah. So, you're a rough dude, man. You're not your typical, like, pastoral minister guy. Sure. Like there's a story there.
Right.
And, and it's the long road to get where you are.
Yeah.
Where did it start?
Oh, I started when I was young. My parents went through a divorce. Some things happened. I don't want to badmouth anybody, but some people through that made mistakes. You know what I mean? Which we all do. Was living with my mother. Saw some things happen. Physical abuse. The guy this can tie in really well, actually, because the guy had two sons. And they were older than me. I was like 5 or 6. And they just whooped my ass. And I remember, one time, like, it was the first time, like, that I'd ever felt like being choked. Like, where I'm going out, you know what I mean? And thought I was dying, you know what I mean? Experiencing that the first time, and like I'm losing air and black is, it's closing in. That generally, stuff like that can either go two ways. And it's either going to make you soft and scared of everything, or the opposite. And as a kid, like, I didn't have a lot of emotion through that stuff. It hardened me, but it made me not scared of anything. I was, 13 years old, like fighting 30-year-olds in my town. I had a reputation because I wasn't, I was crazy, but it wasn't because, actually, as a kid, they called me Death Wish. And it wasn't because I had a death wish. I didn't want to die. I just wasn't fearful of things. And looking back on that, like you said, God will give you gifts, and you can either abuse it or you can use it to further advance his kingdom. And I abused it for the majority of my life. And that gift that happened through that was not being fearful, right? And now I'm able to use it in boldness for Christ rather than my own kingdom. But primarily that's what I used, people always, even as a kid, like, people wanted to follow me, but it was for bad purposes. It was for the wrong purposes, So now, by the grace of God, he's flipped it around. But throughout that, man, if I told you my whole story, we wouldn't be done at 1:10. It'd be 5 p.m.
I mean, what age do you feel like the abuse led to you making poor choices?
So 12 years old was the first time I got drunk.
Yeah.
I was 12 years old, yeah. And then from there, I was always good in school. I got good grades, and I was an athlete, basketball, football, track, and I was good at sports. So for a long time, I was able to master things because I was still performing on the court or the field, and still got good grades. Mm-hmm. But 12 years old was the first time that I drank. I think 7th grade wasn't far from there. I used marijuana for the first time, and then going into my freshman year, every once in a while, if somebody had like some pills and stuff like that, I would take those. And then my 16th birthday was the first time I did cocaine, and I liked cocaine.
Like, who introduced you to it? Was it adults, other kids?
Yeah, it was other kids. Yeah. The guy that actually introduced it to me is dead now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My senior year of high school, my junior year, I was getting recruited by Big 10, Big 12 schools for football. Played, I started as a quarterback, and then they moved me. I didn't ever throw the ball. I just ran it all the time. So they moved me to fullback, and then I played cornerback, which they always just put me on the best guy, just one-on-one. And then as a collegiate athlete, they were recruiting me as strong safety. So my junior year, I was getting recruited by good schools, and then I went to rehab my senior year for cocaine. And then nobody wanted to sign me at that point, obviously, mm-hmm. I ended up going to...
How'd that happen? It's kind of a pretty big thing to pass over. You go to your senior in high school and you're going to rehab for cocaine. Like, who intervened?
I did.
Yeah.
It was, but it was, I mean, honestly, like, I wasn't ready to stop, but when you live in a town of 6,000 people, like, everybody knows everything, and everybody was on my back all the time because I was good generally at whatever I did. Mm-hmm. So because that, I felt pressured all the time. Like, I got to do this. I got to be good at this. I got to be good at this. I got to be good at this. And one night I got high and was like, oh, dude, I gotta change. I gotta get out of this. It was because I was high. And I went over to my aunt's house and told on myself. And like halfway through this conversation, like, I'd done the last line of cocaine like 20 minutes prior to that. Now I'm starting to feel like crap. Like, why did I come here?
Yeah.
She calls my dad over, and then I agree to go to rehab. And so I go to rehab, and I missed the first 2 games of my senior year of football. And for like 1 hour, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. 1 hour of the day, like, you can use your phone and stuff like that, and everything I get's about football season from my friends. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this happened, this, like, we need you back, that kind of stuff. It was like a 30-day program, and I was there for like 2 weeks, and I was like, I'm leaving, because I went voluntarily. I was like, I'm leaving. So I called my mom. My mom and dad are divorced. My mom was a lot more lenient. So I called my mom, asked her if she would come get me. She said yes, but then called my dad. So 2 minutes after I get off the phone with her, my phone's ringing. It's my dad. And he's like, hey, you need to finish out. You need to stay there and finish out. And I'm like, okay. And then I packed my bag and left. I ended up hitchhiking from Kansas City to East St. Louis, Illinois. And I don't know if you know anything about East St. Louis, Illinois.
No.
It was like one time, it was like the murder capital per capita.
Yeah.
It's like, it's on the Illinois side of the Mississippi River, right across the river from St. Louis.
Yeah.
So it's been real bad. And I got in some real bad trouble there because a lot of times that's where I would go to get cocaine.
Yeah.
And I hitchhiked all the way there and hit up a guy that I knew. Mm. And we went to some casinos, and he, I mean, it's still my responsibility, but he convinced me of some things that he was going to do for me if I did something for him. And I was going to kill somebody for him. Mm-hmm. And I was high. I'd been up for like 3 days. went to this house, had the gun, pulled the trigger, it didn't go off. Pulled it again, didn't go off. I ended up hitting the guy with it, and I honestly thought he was dead. I did. Left and ran, and then the guy that asked me to do all the things was nowhere to be seen after I did it for him. Wouldn't answer his phone, nothing. I'm like, I have nobody at this point. I'm in East St. Louis by myself. Ran behind a gas station and sat in a bush against the building, and finally got a hold of my mom, and she came and picked me up.
How old are you at this time?
18.
Yeah,
18, and then. From there, went back, finished my football season. Was clean through the football season, and then as soon as it was over, started doing the same thing. That same year, I got shot twice over a cocaine deal. They weren't shooting at me, shooting at the driver, but I was there. Hit me through a windshield, and we thought it was. Everybody thought that it was correlation to the thing in East St. Louis, but it ended up just being random.
Random, yeah. Random for being
random, as in it wasn't directed towards me.
Being in the wrong environment, right? Making choices to put yourself in a bad environment. Yeah. So that lifestyle, at what point do you start selling drugs? Did you start?
Yeah. So at first I did it, and then I sold to.
I mean, most people if you keep going down the path of drugs as a user, you continue down that path.
Yeah. As
a young man, you end up getting involved in.
Yeah. At first it was to just support the habit.
Right.
But then really with time, I got smarter at it, but I did spend some time in prison. Was released. I turned 22 in prison.
So what'd you go to prison for?
Well, there were several things. I had a few DUIs, a lot of fights, battery, type stuff, just a bunch of stupid stuff, man, over and over and over.
And judge finally said,
yeah, but then there was I had a possession of stolen property, which was the felony because it exceeded $300, right? And I was guilty. I knew it was stolen. I let the guy leave it at my house.
What was it?
There was a bunch of stuff. Actually, it was a big screen TV.
Okay.
And the guy, I remember the night, and the guy knocked on my door. I was friends with him. I'd actually partied with him earlier that night. And I came home. I was sleeping on the couch, and he knocked on the door, and I opened it up, and he was just bringing stuff in. Because the stuff that he stole was from somebody that lived in my apartment complex. And he was bringing stuff in, and I was drunk, and I was a different person at the time. I didn't really care.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude. And he had golf clubs and just a bunch of little electronic stuff and an Xbox and stuff like that. Well, later on he comes in and he's as far as he can, he's holding this TV, sets it in the hallway, takes everything that he can that'll fit in his car, but the TV wouldn't fit in his car. So the TV's sitting in my hallway there, and he messages me every day saying, hey, I'm gonna come get that. Hey, I'm gonna come get that. Well, I guess he had a warrant out for selling marijuana, was walking down the road. The police stopped him. He has a stolen Xbox in his backpack. and it comes back to the house. And then, well, where's all these other things at? Well, they found everything else in his apartment, but the TV. So then he says in his statement, because I read a statement, that I was the one that stole everything and then gave it to him. But the TV is there, right? I had the text messages, but
Yeah.
they tried to first charge me with residential burglary. And I was like, okay, go ahead, because you don't have any evidence for that. You ain't going to find fingerprints because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I ended up taking a plea deal, was sentenced to, I think I was sentenced to 8 years. I was going to do 50%, which was 4, but then I got accepted into a thing that was called Impact Incarceration Program. So it was kind of like a work program that I was able to get out a lot quicker.
And this is a felony.
Yeah.
On your record for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's,
which is life altering, right? You're 20.
Yeah, man,
You're in your
because-
you're at 20 years old at the time
22, I turned in prison. Yeah.
in prison. So, but when this first happens,
Yeah.
I mean, your life's changed forever.
Yeah.
At 20 years old
Yeah. 100%.
for because of a felony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really, to me now that everything's changed for me, that Christ has transformed me, it almost feels like it affects me more now, because I would love to be law enforcement if I could, and I can't, so that's part of the reason why I do things that I do.
Yeah.
That's as close as I get, because I want to serve,
Yeah.
and I would do it for the right reasons, so, but also I believe that all things work together for the good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose.
Yeah.
Romans 8:28. So I stand on that and try not to think about it too much of why that happened. And now I'm given the opportunity to teach my children, and hopefully guys that are coming up through my gym and things like that. Hey, if I always tell people, if I'm an expert at anything, it's telling you how not to do something.
Yeah.
So through those failures, hopefully I can help other people.
Coming out of jail, coming out of prison.
Yeah.
Was it were you changed, or you went right back into bad decisions?
No. So really, like, it was kind of the first time that I picked up the Bible, but I didn't have anything else to do.
In prison.
Yeah. So I started going to church some when I was around 18. Like every once in a while, like a friend would invite me or something, like growing up. But I wasn't raised in a Christian home.
Right.
And people would invite me and I'd go sometimes. But around when I was 18 is when I started going. But honestly, the reason that I went to church is because I thought if I went to church, I wouldn't go to hell. I didn't know anything about Jesus really, or the scriptures or anything like that. So I thought, well, if I do good, like, then I'm good. Then I'll be good in the end,
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people find Jesus in prison.
Yeah. Yeah. But so after that, I was on, I was forced to be sober for a while and things like that. So
because of parole, probation.
Yeah. And I was on house arrest for a while. So I got used to it, like not going out and things like that, but it wasn't very long. It wasn't very long before I was right back into the same lifestyle. And then after that, I went to Lindenwood University. I went back to school, and that's where I met my oldest son Ezra's mother. She was a wrestler there. And it's funny because I never my high school didn't have wrestling. But I'd fought prior to that.
That's just gonna ask, at what point in life did martial arts come in?
Yeah. So I think my first fight was 2010.
Okay.
2010. And I was just athletic and aggressive. I didn't know anything. I actually ran into a kid that I grew up with at a Friday night local football game. And he was like an okay athlete. I played basketball, football, track with him. He was decent, but wasn't great at anything. And I ran into him at a local high school game, and we were talking, and he's like, yeah, I've been training. I'm 5-0 as an MMA fighter, amateur MMA fighter in the cage. And I was like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, I could beat you up right now. Ain't no way. So
This is after prison.
No, this is before.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's like, well, why don't you come over to my house next week and we'll like move around. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm down, So I go over to his house. We spar with boxing gloves in his living room on the carpet. And he didn't whoop my ass, but he beat me.
Yeah.
He beat me because he knew what he was doing. And I'm a street fighter and I'm like going hard and throwing punches and he's making me miss and things like that. And I never stopped.
Yeah.
I never stopped. I did go to prison for that, a short stint so that I had to stop. But when I got out, I went right back to it.
Training.
And I actually fought with my monitor on.
Yeah.
My ankle monitor on.
Oh, you did an MMA fight with him.
Yeah. So I showed up at so my parole officer, so my parole officer would let me work events and stuff like that. And I showed up to the weigh-in. I was working the weigh-in and this guy's opponent didn't show up. And they're like, Garrett, like, would you want to fight? Like, I wasn't training, but I mean, I was still in decent shape, And they're like, well, you want to fight? I'm like, well, I don't know if I can. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But I'm not going to tell my parole officer I'm fighting. I'm just going to say I'm working the event,
Yeah.
So the guy agrees to it, just says I can't kick. You got to tape up my ankle monitor, but I can't kick in the fight. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. So I was supposed to be the main event, but I had to be home at midnight. My ankle monitor would go off at midnight. And it's like getting closer. And it's like getting so close. I went to the promoter. I'm like, listen, you got to move me up on the card.
Yeah.
So they moved me two fights up.
That's like a Cinderella moment.
Yeah, they had to move me 2 fights up because I couldn't. I might have been in the middle of the cage and my ankle monitor. They show up to arrest me because I'm violating my parole. And I beat the crap out of this guy. Beat the crap out of him. But it's a fun story anyways.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, I don't know how many amateur fights you did, but you did 30.
I had 22.
22 amateur fights. So it was 30 pro fights.
Yeah, 22 in like 2 years. Because it was different then, which, I didn't even have to get blood work. I would fight on a Thursday night and then a Saturday.
We used to go to this place in Louisiana called the Chop Shop.
Yeah.
And then no ambulance, nothing. Yeah. Like you show up and they're like, all right, you're going to go with him.
Yeah.
Just matching people at class.
Exactly.
And that's what you're
I had some fights at this little bitty place in Paducah, Kentucky called Pure Country that if you picked a guy up to slam him high enough, he would hit his head on the ceiling. The cage was here, the ceiling's here. But yeah, there was it was man, I loved it though,
Yeah.
I loved to fight even from as a kid,
I did some of my first professional fights were in nightclubs and bars, and they'd be a layer of smoke. You're an as athlete going out and fighting, people are drinking beer and smoking
that's what actually part of me made me want to do it differently, because I would go to the amateur fights and guys would step off the scale and smoke a cigarette and drink a beer, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? It was, but
yeah, you can just step up to a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just as a martial artist, you want to compete at the top level. Sure. And the environment, right? I hated that, fighting but back in the, in the late 90s, early 2000s, there wasn't a lot of events to fight in. So you came up and you earned your way into big shows, but earning your way in big shows meant you fought in these nightclubs and stuff like that, where they were doing it for kind of almost like circus entertainment.
Yeah.
But that mean athletes and martial artists, just the environment was that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, so coming up, you had, some big fights, anything that sticks out to you?
My pro debut was cool. That was a big fight for me because I was supposed to lose.
Yeah.
It was I fought my first amateur fight was at 205, and then I went to 185 for almost all of my amateur fights, and then I turned pro and went to 170, and everybody's like, oh, you can't make 170, this and that. You know what I mean? This guy was their golden boy, and I knocked him out in 40 seconds. So it was just a cool moment in my career,
Yeah, you kind of shut everybody up.
Yeah. And then I started off, I was telling you, I started off at Matt Yu's gym. He had it was called the Hit Squad. And I was there, and he had a fighter dorm that I was there for a while, and then the gym kind of split, and I went with in St. Louis with Tyron Woodley. Mm-hmm. And then from there, he was the one that connected me with Top Team in Coconut Creek, and I was there for 4 years. Then from there, I went to Hawaii and was out at Holloway's camp, Max Holloway's camp for a year. So it was a cool experience. And
you get to train with some of the best guys,
best in the world. Meet some really cool people. I fought for Bellator, 2-1 in Bellator, and then the Contender Series fight, even though I lost, was still like a notch there. But overall, my title fight, it meant more to me that I won the fight that I retired, because it was in my 15-year career, it was the first fight camp that I ever did sober. And even, years prior to that, I was already ready to retire. There was just no reward for the risk anymore at my age. Like now, honestly, I feel better than ever. Yeah. But what I did, I go out and knock 5 people out in the first round. What happens? Nothing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like nothing significant that would change my life or my children's lives. You know what I mean? So from there, I took that fight, won the championship, and was like, retiring. Yeah. Yeah.
What brought you to make a decision to finally get sober?
Man, it's almost a difficult testimony, because I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything as in like it was all God.
Yeah. That's everything.
Yeah, but just the way,
it's nothing but everything.
I can't be like, well, I was working hard and I was doing this and I was doing this and doing that. The desire left in one day. It was gone, and over time, like I progressively got better, as in what I mean by that is like I used less frequently and I was functional. I showed up for work. I paid my bills. I went to the gym, those type of things. I did everything that you should do to be a productive member of society.
Right.
So, if I do something, I do it extreme. And I got better at it as a wiser in the bad things that I was doing, smarter at the bad things I was doing, and I knew that I should quit, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I did pray about it, but I wasn't making like a lot of effort to change anything. And one night I went to downtown Nashville. I was living in Chattanooga. I went to downtown Nashville and I met with a guy that was a buddy of mine. And I did cocaine until about 6 a.m. Ran out of cocaine, had a bottle of tequila left, finished it, and started to, things started to wear off. I started feeling weird and paranoid and things like that. I'm like, man, I'm not driving back to Chattanooga tonight. So I just pulled in a random parking lot and tried to go to sleep. And I'm wrestling around in the car for about 4 hours. Finally, I fall asleep, and I promise you, like, I woke up at like 2 p.m. the next day, drenched in sweat. When I opened my eyes, the first thought that I had, like something was different, man. The first thought that I had was, I'm done. I'm done. And there was nothing difficult about it. There wasn't anything difficult about it. That day was the last time that I ever drank. That day was the last time that I ever used drugs. And that day was the last day that I ever sold drugs. And at that point, I had several $1,000s worth of cocaine.
What'd you do with it?
Flushed it. Not that day. I didn't flush it that day. I did sit on it for a while.
When was that?
I'll be 3 years in February. Yeah. 3 years in February.
3 years clean.
Yeah. And it changed everything for me. My relationships. I didn't know the effects that it had on me until I got sober and put some time in between me. The effects on my decision making, my judgment, my thought process. You know what I mean? I would, like I said, if I did something, I'd do it. So, and that's a gift from God, but what are you putting it in? You know what I mean? And Friday night is when I'll drink after work, and then I'd go through the weekend, and it wasn't until really like Wednesday that my thought process would probably start to be normal, but then I'm doing it again Friday. So it was just a vicious cycle. And then when I quit, everything was so different for me. I started getting better at everything, even like, I was like, man, dude, like, I'm getting smarter. I think I just got smarter, which was probably some, right, just from the effects of the brain, but it wasn't, it was the opportunity to be smarter. Like I read way more. I was looking to read, get different type of information. I was in scripture more and different things. I was at the gym more. I just had the opportunity. I wasn't laying around for 3 days doing nothing, recovering, you know? And it changed relationships that I had that I didn't even know were bad. You know what I mean? They seemed normal, and then it changed me so much of a person, like things that you're doing that you don't even notice, like you're blind to, you know, that changed for me. And you can't be the person that God has created you to be under the influence of substances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a sober mindedness.
100%.
And then, like you said, the opportunity, like, that you trade. I mean, it's one of the most valuable commodities we have in life is time.
Yeah.
And you're just trading that time for being intoxicated.
Yeah. There's so many scriptures, especially through the Proverbs, that warns about alcohol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not that it doesn't condemn alcohol, but condemns drunkenness. And I got drunk every time I drank.
Right.
You know what I mean? So from that, if I drank, I was going to do cocaine, and then generally it led to a plethora of other sins from that.
Yeah.
You know? And when I got sober, my relationship with sin changed.
You think that you're able to make more sober-minded decisions?
100%.
Yeah.
Be sober-minded. I'm alert. Yeah. You know, and one of the biggest things for me, I think too, is when I was active in using, I lived in the moment. I wasn't able to look down the line and say, how do these decisions affect me in the future or people that I love in the future? And now, if I very rarely have, you know, sometimes like I'll have thoughts about like a time that was fun for me, but it was also before Christ, you know, and it is a little bit of a temptation, but I can look and be like, how is this going to affect my work, my gym, my children, my relationship with God, you know?
Yeah.
And there's no, I look back on it, it's not even close.
Yeah.
It's not even close to being worth one little hit or whatever it is, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're able to just really kind of comprehend the actions and consequences. Yeah. You talked a lot about your faith, but it sounds like in those moments you were very lukewarm in your faith. Like what happened? When did you, I mean, because now knowing you now, like you're all in, you say you're all in person, you're all in for Christ. Yeah. Like what was the change then? When did that happen?
I mean, I contributed a lot of that to sobriety, honestly. I 100% at one point was a fake Christian.
Yeah.
As in, I got a cross tattoo. I wore a cross necklace, but I was going to go out and do an 8-ball every weekend and whatever I wanted to do. It was an accessory. I was a fan, not a follower.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said earlier, I was conflicted some on, like, did I really get saved when I thought I got saved? But I can go back to the scriptures in Philippians 1:6 says, he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. You know, you have the process of sanctification that you're going to slowly process of change and get more conformed to the image of Christ. So I can look back and say when I thought I was saved and see things that were good works that changed in my life.
Right.
But sobriety was like a night and day. It seemed more to me like I've removed your heart of stone and gave you a heart of flesh. You know what I mean? I could be wrong, but it doesn't matter now. You know what I mean? Like I try not to sit around and think about that and just from now, just do the work, you know, go out and make disciples of all nations and try to use the gifts that God's given me to share my testimony and, you know, ultimately lead people to him.
You've had some big influences, you know, Mike, Joby.
Yeah.
You know, what are some of the things that you've done? I'm asking this because I know, you know, there's people listening right now and have made the decision, those changes in their life, but they just are looking to surround themselves with the right people. And I think one of the, as I like have learned your story, one of the most, I think, impactful things you've done is you start surrounding yourself with really like-minded people that were headed in the same direction, that had something to offer you and help you in your walk. Right. You know, who are those people and kind of what would that look like?
Man, there's so many people. There's so many people. My South Florida days, there's a guy, Ryan Gitman, who's a Calvary Chapel, Deerfield Beach, and he was like a man's man that I'd never seen at any, like the churches that I went to before, you know, like I'm shaking her hand and it feels like a dead fish. Like there's nothing masculine about you, which is not attractive to me.
Yeah.
Ryan was a black belt in jiu-jitsu, owned a reptile store, and was a pastor. And he ended up like being my pastor, my boss, and my coach. And that gym, like there were so many, or I mean that church, there were so many men there, like they were broken, they were messed up, man. There's guys that were, you know, alcoholics and drug addicts and porn addicts, but they knew they needed a savior and they showed up every time. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time like where people were actually pointing me to the scriptures and pointing me towards Christ. And that's really where things started to change for me. And I remember the first time that I went to I'd been to several like men's ministry things, right? And you get in this group and everybody's good. Mm-hmm. Everybody's good. Like, my life's good. Like you're all liars.
Yeah.
You're all liars. And it takes one person to speak out about the truth and then kind of opens things up, you know? And growing up, I always thought something was wrong with me because of my thoughts. Mm-hmm. That's just how wicked they are, you know?
Yeah.
And it just random wicked thoughts. Like I might be at a stop sign and somebody walk across the crosswalk in my mind, be like, what if I just ran them over? Mm-hmm. You know, what if I just ran them over? And that's PG.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's PG thought. Yeah. You know, there's plenty of thoughts that I'm not telling nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I probably share some of those.
Yeah. I'm not telling anybody, you know. A guy that I listened to, man, he came out one time and he was speaking to like 1,000 people and he looks at his watch and he's like, it's noon. And he's like, if I took a DVD and took every one of your thoughts from the moment that you woke up till now, every one of you would want to leave and not come back in this room. And he said, I'm including myself.
Yeah. You
know, and that's true. That's real stuff. Like that's not what you're getting at men's groups. And that's what's needed. Truth is needed so people open up. You know what I mean? That's not happening in most places. That's what I respect about Mike and his group, man, is because they're telling the truth and people are opening up and like, that's what Christ wants you to do.
Well, transparency and vulnerability is contagious.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it takes men, courageous men to stand in front of other courageous men and lead and talk about those things. Yeah. It's not easy to talk about your weaknesses, especially in a group.
Yeah.
Like, and because you feel like you're going to be judged.
Sure, exactly.
What do people think about you, right? And but if you don't, then it's in isolation. It's in dark. It's in a dark, isolated place. That's where Satan wants it.
Right.
And that's how you get you to act on it.
Absolutely. And from that, like those thoughts, I always thought something was wrong with me, and I went to that Ryan Gitman's church on the men's ministry on a Tuesday, and something that we would go through, we would eat together, sing together, go through some scripture, and something was about wicked thoughts. And so it was some application that he was talking about. And the first thing that he did was stand up and told a story about one of the thoughts that he had. And I was like, what'd you say, dude?
Yeah.
What'd you say? And then 30 other guys, I was like, oh my gosh, dude. And that was just like a critical point in my walk. You know what I mean? To know that I had other people that shared the same burdens and were walking through the same things as me. You know, my relationship with Joby is I met Joby through Mike, and I'm still building a relationship with him. But I saw Joby like 10 years ago on like a manhood series, you know, and back home where I'm at, I've got a lot of people that are looking to me, you know. But I need somebody too, you know?
Yeah.
And it was really crazy, my experience at 1122, because if I'm honest, like I've always had like a negative connotation about big churches.
Yeah. And for those listening, 1122 is Pastor Joby Martin's church in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah. So I always had like this stigma about big churches, you know?
Yeah.
And I was humbled. Through the experience, and coming in, and the doctrine is sound, and they're feeding people, but the people that they're feeding are going out scattering and going in and making disciples and making disciples and making disciples, when most churches that I'm at are just being fed. And that's it. They're not doing anything. The book of James says faith without action is dead, that even the demons believe and shudder. So what makes you, you're on the same part as a demon if you just believe and do nothing.
Yeah, right. Because demons actually believe.
Yeah,
because they don't only believe, they know.
Yeah, right.
But believe,
and I feel like that's most of the churches in America. But 1122 was engaged in, and I met so many solid people through there. And Joby does call people to action. He calls his congregate members to action, whether it's one person or 100,000. He calls them to action. Sure. Well, that was one thing that I think that I struggled with is I got sometimes you got too wrapped up in like the secondary issues rather than like going out and making disciples and leading people to Christ. Yeah. I'm like worried about what if they don't believe what I believe in this or that. You know what I mean? Like truth is important, but some things like Deuteronomy 29:29 says the secret things belong to the Lord. Some things like we're never gonna get to the bottom of. So why are we sitting around trying to figure them out? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
arguing and dividing over semantics.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And then I was at the men's conference. Is that the one that's where you spoke?
Yeah.
The men's conference, right? So Friday night, that night, me and Mike and Eli, a bunch of guys from the Project Savior Outdoors after the conference went out to eat. And I'm staying at Brawler Creek Ranch.
Because we all went out to eat the night before.
Yeah. And then the next night, I went with the Project Savior Outdoors guys to eat after the conference.
Yeah.
We didn't get out of this place till like 1:45. My truck is back at Mike's house, which is 45 minutes away. And then I'm another 45 minutes away from the ranch. So I get home back to the ranch at 3 a.m. and my alarm is set for 5:45 to go back to the conference. And my alarm goes off and I'm like, then I'm not going. I'm not going. And then I'm like, man, I came here for this. I gotta go.
Yeah.
So, but in my head, I was going to leave at noon. I was going to go to the first session, like the first part of it, and leave at noon. So I go down there and I'm actually really tired. You know what I mean? But I am hearing and taking things in and receiving things. And they asked me, remember Drew Parker, the singer, the country singer that now just sings about the Lord. They asked me, like, hey, can you, at noon, they're like, hey, can you go out and just be security for Drew during the lunch, like little thing in the lounge? So I was like, yeah, but it forced me to stay, right? I wasn't going to say no, right? So it forced me to stay a little longer. So I go through that and then I come back and I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll just stay for these next two sessions. And then the last session, there was another break. I'll leave at the break. So that goes by and I'm standing in the back, like where everybody's at and everybody's kind of standing together.
Yeah.
And I'm like awkwardly thinking like, all right, how do I say I'm leaving? Yeah. Hey, see you guys. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, thanks, but I'm going to leave, And Stephanie Ramirez in the back came up to me with a bottle of anointing oil and was like, hey, after the last session, you're going to pray for people and anoint them. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And I have no problem with praying for people.
Right.
But there's 3,000 people out there and I don't know anything about what this entails, the details. Like, are they calling me up by myself? Like, is there other men? I don't know anything. I have no context, But again, I wasn't going to say no, So I sit there and Joby's the last guy that goes and
that speaks.
Yeah, that speaks. Yeah. And so then he's like, hey, we're going to receive prayer and healing. And we got some guys that are come up and anoint you with oil. And he's like, the guys with the bottles, go ahead and come up. And so I walked up as like me and 14 other guys looking at 3,001 people. Yeah. And a little bit of me, but there's a little bit of cowardice in me at that moment. You know what I mean? Like scared, fear.
Yeah.
And I started praying right then. And I was like, let's go, let's do it, but I was overwhelmed by where I'm from, like you get an altar call or something like that. It's a very small place where I'm from. So you get a few people, but he told them, if you want to receive prayer and healing, to come up. And it was a flood. I had like 75 people in my line, and 50% of them were crying before they got there. Mm-hmm. And I was crying with them, and I was praying with them. And man, it was a blessing to me, as I hope as much to them. But through that, it made me realize like how much work needs to be done. Because what I see back home, I got a couple guys, now I got 100 guys in my line with 15 other guys with 100 in their line. You know what I mean? How many people are broken and need Christ, need the strength of Christ? And what are we doing as the body? You know what I mean? And that's why I appreciate 1122 and Joby.
Yeah.
Is because they're making disciples that are making disciples, and that's what's needed all over the country.
Yeah, he's made such an incredible impact. I think I just interviewed him. It was, I think, the third time he's been on my show, and it was on his new book, Stand Firm and Act Like Men. In the church now, the attendance at the churches on a Sunday is 35,000 members, and they're reaching 100,000 online every weekend. Yeah, and that impact, and some people would be insulting towards that, and it's too big. And I asked him that question, and he gave the perfect answer. He's like, okay, I get it. People have an issue with big churches, so who should I send home? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Who should I turn away? Sure. And it's such the right answer. You just, if God brings them, you have a responsibility to serve them and disciple and lead them and call and equip them to go forth to make disciples of others. And and that's the heart of 1122, and that's Joby's heart, man. He's done it really, really well, and he's making impact. And I'm super proud to be his friend and serve with him in that capacity. Yeah. Josh Howerton, you know him. He's a Texas guy. He's a pastor in Texas. Yeah, I know who he is. He's buddies with Joby, I believe. Yeah, he's up in like the Dallas area, I think. Yeah. And I heard him speaking on something that was similar about mega churches, and what he said was, planes that land safely don't make the news. Because you always hear about the big scandals that happen, but you don't hear about the ones that are doing it the right way. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. But and there's a lot of corruption. I mean, that's absolutely. That's not new, by the way. That's like the beginning of time. Corruption in all levels. Yeah. I mean, churches with 50 or 5,000. You know what I mean? But there's also churches that are there to honor Christ and doing it the best that they can. Yeah, according to the Word of God. Yeah, we had the Catholic Church burning people. Yeah. We had. Pentecostal churches today, all around the world. And in the beginning of time, religion has been used and abused for people to enrich themselves, control people, manipulate people. Right. No surprise, but those examples doesn't mean that there's amazing people doing exactly what God created and called them to do. That, like you saying that, actually fires me up a little bit, because that is. Christians, don't compare yourself to other Christians. Mm-hmm. Compare yourself to the Word of God. Yep. In Christ, because a lot of the people that I have conversations with, they don't know what a true Christian is. Mm-hmm. So they've got all this distorted views of what Christianity is, because people who aren't Christians, they believe them. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that just, it's sad, really. It really is. And, and then the whole thing, you hear about people like, wow, man, I go to church, but it's just a bunch of hypocrites. Christians are a bunch of hypocrites. Yeah, so are you. That's why you need church. That's why you need church. Like I think of it as a hospital, right? Yeah. You don't go to a hospital, it's not full of sick people. Sure. Right. And Christ talks about that. Yeah. As in the church is for the sick, not those who are healthy. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's for the broken. Which is all of us. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I think that overall, I think American Christianity is kind of a joke as a whole, and that more pastors should spend less time preaching and more time studying the Bible. Well, I mean, when you get into your churches focusing on and look, I have no problem with having a good praise and worship band and decorating the church and stuff like that. I get that, but when it becomes the focus becomes entertainment to the congregation and not the worship of God, that's when you have a issue that arises, and the focus changes. we go to church to worship our Lord. And it's, people are like, well, I don't like that worship music. Well, it's not for you.
Yeah, 100%.
It's for God.
100%.
Right? It's not that worship music is not for you. It's for God. We're supposed to be worshiping Him, not entertaining you.
Sure.
And so I think that's one of the areas that people get confused on. I think doctrinal issues.
Sure.
People will divide and over semantics. You get the Armenians and Calvinists. It's like you guys are both wrong. Like we're all wrong. Like we don't get it right. Like what you can divide your denomination over that. Like it doesn't matter anyway. Semantics. Like gospel centered theology is where I kind of fall. And at Mighty Oaks, our ministry at Mighty Oaks, it's a very stern thing that we have in Mighty Oaks. It's like, hey, we're not a church, and two, we're not going to divide people and close our door to people because their theology may be a little different. We believe what Jesus did at the cross, and we kind of stop there.
Right.
Now, I certainly love studying beyond that.
Yeah.
But my foundational belief, my theology, is sits at the cross. Yeah.
Yeah, but to your initial question though, like with being around men that are pointing to Christ, like that's what men need. 100%.
Brotherhood.
Proverbs 13:20 is one of my favorites. That he who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. If you're hanging out with a bunch of fools, like you're gonna be a fool. My dad, when I was a kid, used to say, if you hang around shit, you're gonna smell like shit. Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah. Hang out with wise men, you're going to become wise. But you want to make sure those wise men
show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Exactly. Those guys are pointing you towards Christ, because you can only truly be a man. You have the perfect example of manhood in the person of Jesus Christ in the scriptures.
Yeah.
So now, like what I see is you got, all these tough, muscled up guys. Like, yeah, that's cool. And Joby talks about stuff like that too. Mm-hmm. That he likes shooting guns and doing this and doing that, but that's not technically what makes him a man. You know what I mean? Those are good add-ons and good things to have to be masculine and equip yourself to take care of things. But Christ is ultimately what you need to be able to provide and protect and priest and all the things that your wife and your kids need.
Yeah. So in your mission at Backwoods American Jiu Jitsu, did I get it right, finally? Yeah. How's discipleship fit into that?
So basically just building relationships. You know what I mean? I got a lot of new guys. I pray in the beginning, get connected like in a group text. And a lot of guys I think they're just coming there for jiu-jitsu, but man, everybody's got something going on. You know what I mean? And building a relationship and starting to know who I am and the things that I've done, just learning about people. Like I said earlier, I can't change anybody, but I can, what does Revelation say? By the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. That's how we overcome. So through testimony and building I play worship music. Wow, and people probably don't even register to them, but there's something about that.
I was going to ask that. So a good friend of mine, Renaissance Academy, I'm missing with martial arts. It's
you don't know any of the names.
Yeah, I know I'm terrible. But my buddy Jamie Ridgway, he's Lynchburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
He's a really strong Christian. His school's a Christian school, but when you walk in there, it's like, you don't have to be a Christian to go.
Sure.
So how do you create an environment like that in a school that your mission is to disciple and build disciples for others and be world changers and kingdom builders?
Sure.
How do you do that in a way that's not so evangelical that it closes the doors on non-Christians to come in there?
Yeah. One is communicating it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just walking and showing like what true Christianity is, because I'm sure there's probably schools that everybody is welcome at mine. You know what I mean? I'll go to, now there's certain things that I wouldn't do. I wouldn't compromise, right? I won't compromise, but everybody's invited. All I can do is try to walk the walk and plant seeds there. But you don't have to be a believer to come train jiu-jitsu.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I can't save you anyway.
Right.
But regardless, like I care about people and I care about your souls.
They said last night, I give you a black belt.
Yeah, if I get, like I said earlier, like if I make you a world champion, but you die and go to hell, I've done nothing for you. And if I did nothing to try to lead you to Christ, like then I failed. You know, I can't do the work, but I can lead you. I can't tell you how to be saved. That you are saved, but I can tell you how to be saved and who can do it. You know, that guy I mentioned earlier, Pastor Ryan Gitman, used to say, "I'm just a beggar telling another beggar where to get some bread." Yeah, you know.
Yeah, that's all of us, man.
Yeah.
And one of the other cool things you do, and I know Scrappy does this too. Yeah. We're actually it's be the focus of Scrappy's interview when he comes on the show is the child predator stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you work with Operation 17-2.
Yeah.
Is that Scrappy's organization?
No, that's mine.
That's yours. Okay.
That's mine.
Okay.
Scrappy has been helping me a lot.
Okay. So yeah, tell us about
17:2 like stems from Luke 17:2.
Stands for what?
From Luke 17:2. That would be better for that person to have a millstone tied around their neck and thrown in the depths of the sea than for them to cause a child to sin.
What a good name.
Yeah. So it's so wild, man, that the first time that I ever did it, I posed as an underage person online, just put something in AI, was just playing around with it. I put it in an app, like a dating app, and so you do have to be 18 to consent to get in these apps, right?
Right.
But the picture on my profile, you know that person isn't anybody that has any sense. Like you're going to question if that person really of age, right?
No.
So I put it in. Within an hour, I had 75 messages within a 100-mile radius. And what I was really
75 messages.
75 messages.
Yeah.
Right. And some of them, they weren't even like, there was no solicitation. It was just like, here's a picture of my penis. Like, without even talking. You know what I mean? All types of stuff like that. And now, some people are able to manipulate that in a way because you do have to be 18 to get into the app to consent to be on there, right? So yeah, I just thought they were 18.
Yeah.
But what I was more surprised about was when I got to the age drop and said, hey, I don't want you to be mad, but I'm actually only 13. 98% of people didn't care. That's what I was more surprised about, was that so many people knew that and didn't care.
They thought you were a 13-year-old girl.
And didn't care. Yeah. So from there...
What's the age of the men that are...
Anywhere from 20 to 60.
Yeah.
You know? Generally it's older guys, like between, I would say, like 35 to 55.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there are some younger guys in their 20s.
Yeah.
But it is way worse than what people think, and nobody takes the proper precautions like with their kids, because everybody thinks it's never going to be me. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be my kid. There's so many ways for people to groom, especially through media and those type of things, and nobody cares until it directly affects them. And then they want to, I want to raise awareness. Like, prevent it now. Mm-hmm. Like, do you care about other people's kids too, or just your own? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we started Operation 17-2. And, you know, Scrappy's got the 561 PC, and he's killing it. He's killing it, man.
Oh, his stuff's great, man.
Yeah, he's killing it down there. So we started Operation 17-2. Myself and a girl named Haley Wright, and she's my decoy, and we're trying to train other decoys now. So it's fairly new where I'm at. But she's done a great job. She's really like the backbone. I just show up and look scary. You know what I mean? But she does all the work. And
I can imagine they think they're about to meet a 13-year-old girl, and they run in a freaking
and then meet the
cauliflower face, freaking Garrett
with the tattoo.
Yeah, of a dagger on your face. Got a tattoo of a dagger. Is it a sword or a dagger on your face?
Yeah, right over here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna need another one.
Yeah, surprise! Like it's sitting Chris Hansen, or was it Chris Hansen?
Chris Hansen. Yeah, that dude was not intimidating at all.
Yeah, he wasn't very intimidating. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, you wanted to have sex tonight, you're going to, but it's to be with me. Yeah. I'd be a little intimidated by that.
Yeah, good luck. But, ultimately the goal is to get 0 catches. but it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen while we're here, you know?
So how's it go down? Like when you're doing these hits, cause you're not a police officer, right? So how's it go down to where you make a profile, you make connection, you coordinate, they validate that they're actually interested in a 13-year-old girl or boy, whatever you guys do. And then they meet up to actually arrest.
So I highly doubt any predators are going to be watching this show.
If they are, hopefully it deters them.
Yeah,
they're like, hey,
because I will show up at your house.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have Decoy. What she does is takes pictures of herself, fully clothed. Like it's innocent, you know. She's obviously of age, an adult. Takes pictures of herself, puts them in a AI generated app that makes her look like a teenager. So it creates a profile. We use specific apps. Now, you have to be 18 to consent to be in the app. We also have another app called a Text Me app. So it's like it's a thing that you generate a fake phone number, right? So we don't solicit anything. We're just in the app. The profile is there. When they talk to us, then we respond. And generally it's like, hey, it would just be easier. So now we have the Text Me app too, the fake phone number. Hey, it would just be easier if you texted me instead. I don't get on this app that much. So then when they text, that's we'll go back and block them on the original app, because now we're getting ready to age drop. Because if I age drop on the app and somebody reports me, I'll get kicked out and I won't be able to use it. So now that I've got them on Text Me app, now I can go back and block them and they can't report me. So from that point, now we're going to start to get to the point like, hey, I don't want you to be mad, but I just want to let you know, like, I'm really only 14, but I've talked to older guys before. And most of them don't care. Most of them don't care. Now, I do think people are like overall, because of guys like us and organizations like us, like people are wising up a little bit.
They're more cautious, which is good.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It should have that effect.
Yeah. One time in the app.
Security guard outside the bank, right? Like, okay, maybe I'm not going to rob this bank.
Sure. Yeah. 100%. There's actually one time that my Decoy was communicating with somebody through an app and they're like, is this Garrett Gross? It's like, yeah, that's what we want to happen. Like you're fair. You have fear there. So
it's a deterrent. It's a deterrent.
Yeah. So from there, we have to have, generally the people that we've caught is they've given us some type of sexual intent. They've communicated they want to have sex. Or something along those lines of that nature. They travel to meet a minor. That's another felony. That's 2 felonies there. And then a lot of them will send explicit pictures of their genitals or, you know, so that's 3 felonies. That's generally what the people that we've caught. And I've only caught like 4 people in Illinois, but we haven't been going that long. But also at that point, a lot of times they get a warrant for the phone and they'll end up catching more charges because they'll have stuff on their phone.
Right.
Yeah. But we record everything. Everything is recorded in order from the first conversation all the way through everything. We have different folders for sexual intent, photos, the different apps, and it'll all be put on a drive and then handed over to the police. So I have to first identify the person, as in like wherever we're going to meet up, identify them, and then I'll make the phone call and have the police on the way and then confront.
Just say, hey, I'm about to meet this person. We're going to confront them.
So in the beginning, like it's harder because you have to build like a relationship with the department with trust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people are leery and nobody really knows how to do it. So because of that, like they're scared of liability reasons and things like that. But
the department.
Yeah.
But
to me, man, like, put me in jail, man. Put me in jail. Like I'm trying to save a 13-year-old. Like there's so many laws and like weird little stuff and politics and things like that. I could have the same evidence in one county as the other and one get arrested and one nothing happens. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. Like, there shouldn't be nothing about entrapment. This person thinks that they're 53 and they think that they're meeting a 13-year-old for sex. Doesn't matter. Well, it shouldn't even matter if I said something first. No. You know what I mean? You believe that you're meeting a 13-year-old for sex. We don't say anything first because of that reason, but we should be able to. If you believe that you're meeting a 13-year-old for sex, I don't care how you got to that point.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
Go to jail. You know,
well, there's moral cowardice everywhere. Yeah. Moral cowardice and you know,
it's
in the corporate
insane.
space and in the political space and everywhere. And, you know, so that's why I'm thankful that you guys like you're out there doing that, man. And if anybody is listening, like, oh, I don't want to, like, yeah, that should be a deterrent. Like, there are freaking sheepdogs out there that'll crush you for doing that. And frankly, I think you should be able to get some kind of permit to beat that.
I agree.
But I mean, that's one line you can't cross, right? unless they do something to.
Yeah.
I mean,
these guys are the weakest of the weak, man. So like, these guys generally, they're scared and they'll talk. They'll talk because they're scared really quick.
Right. Have you had a moment you could share with us, like when you actually like, hey, surprise, like, and they realize they're in trouble, how they reacted?
Yeah, they're scared.
Yeah.
It's crazy because this is probably going to be unpopular, but there is there's some compassion that I have for them. And obviously not for the act. Like, I probably can't say this, but like, I would shoot you in the head and share the gospel at the same time. I'm going to share the gospel with you, even though you deserve the consequences that you know what I mean? Right. But I'm still going to share Christ with you. And he talks about Romans 1, like where people have been given over to a debased mind. Like, I think those people have been given over, but I'm also I'm not God, so I could be wrong.
Right.
And they were created in the image of God. And what I see in these guys, like, my first thought is that they're so weak and like so scared that I'm like, what happened to you, dude? What happened to you that you've gotten here? Like, was it your dad? What happened to you? So that these moments like fuel my ministry, because we need strong men to prevent those things. That's what we need. The whole civilization falls. It's funny, like how like that I even connected with Joby, because he said like so many things that he says, like I've thought, and then he says it like, dude, that's like, I've always thought that. You know what I mean? So it's awesome. Awesome, like how I got connected with him and just like on the same page there with like biblical manhood and being passionate about that, because that's what I just seen something earlier, Costi Hen, that he talked about a strong women's group stems from a strong men's group. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just so true. And we're overall, like, I don't think we're doing a good job of that. So, but I do think there has been a movement. And I think like churches like 1122 are fueling that, because a lot of local churches where I'm from, like are wanting to read that Joby's book and things like that. So yeah, it's cool.
Which, so with Operation 17-2, what you have plans for that? You're just going to keep doing what you're doing?
I mean, like I said, the girl Haley that is kind of like the backbone of the operation, she's got more plans than me. Yeah. And she's so like she's always thinking about moving forward, but we're gonna have to get more decoys. Like our hope is to turn it into a nonprofit and go from there, because like I don't make any money from that. We spend a lot of time doing it.
Yes, it's time consuming process.
Yeah, she does it like she has another job and also does it all day and just makes no money from it. You know what I mean? It's a passion thing, which is good, but
it limits your ability. Yeah. If you could,
so that's
becomes a job, right? Police officers have a job. They get a paycheck, and
so my hope though is that we catch as many as we can, but that it gets less and less. Because of the fear that we put in them.
I'm with you on that. Unfortunately, in this world, it's getting darker and darker. 100%. But we need sheepdogs out there doing this, man. I'm super excited. Scrappy does this like full time, right? Like, it's kind of his.
He'll have some good stuff. Because he's had way more catches than me.
Well, his and he documents his encounters, and he's so clever.
Yeah.
He's so clever with his dialogue and his encounters.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, man. So many great things. I guess you're retired from fighting now.
Yeah.
So you're moving forward.
Yeah.
What's your moving forward outside the school? What do you have going in your life right now?
Right now, I'm at the gym full time.
Yeah.
So I work for the gym outside, like Rise Performance 618, just daily operation type stuff. What we're wanting to do there is, so we have Rise Performance 618, we have Backwoods American Jiu Jitsu inside, and then we have I think there's 3 more Rise Performances locally in Southern Illinois. And something that has been thrown around a lot is, well, we actually had bid on some property, like 400 acres. And we won the bid, but they didn't accept it. Got it really cheap. They didn't accept it. But we're looking to get property and have Rise Ranch. And with Rise Ranch, do things like men's retreats. It doesn't have to be men's retreats, but any type of retreats, camps, events, and something also that we're passionate about is trying to help like foster kids.
Yeah.
Also through what funds the gym is a company called Heartland Staffing. And what they do is staff really anything. Like if you got a big construction job and you need engineers, you need 100 engineers, they can do it. Laborers, whatever you want. And that's really what like keeps the gym going, you know? But you could be, and they train guys how to be safety guys at construction projects and things like that. Like you could easily be trained to get some certifications and go make 6 figures your first year. Yeah. You know? So what we would like to do is have Rise Ranch and help kids, like underprivileged kids, foster kids, teach them how to work, do manual labor, you know what I mean? Teach them about Jesus and disciple them up. And then now you got a job. We've taught you, you know what I mean? Now you can provide for your family. You can do this and do that and scatter and make more disciples that way. So that's our prayer right now. And that's really what I'm hope happens, because we'll have we'd have a gym. We would build another facility and have like a barracks and where we could house multiple people and also put a gym out there. So it could be it'd be really cool. And then like work together, like Project Save Your Outdoors can bring their veterans and hunt turkey and deer, and man, there's just a lot of cool stuff going on that we could do with that.
Man, I really love hearing your heart, which is you just have such a heart for people and others to serve, and I just really love hearing that, and super thankful with sharing testimony, because I think the kind of stories of resilience that we shared on here, we tend to do a lot of veterans, first responders, sure. I think this will reach a lot of people, and I'm very, very thankful you come on and share it with me, man, and just spending a little time together. Yeah, I know it's not the end of it. We'll do a lot more stuff together.
I'll come back and roll again.
Yeah, we got to roll.
Roll more on the gi and come back.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get to do a no gi round, and I love no gi too. So
after I did the gi rounds, I was thinking like, man, I want to come back and do no gi, because you can't slow me down as much.
I actually had stripped off my gi. I went with Jaden, and I was coming over for you, and then I think this one Jarrett. Yeah, Jarrett grabbed you. Yeah. I
was smoked at that point too.
Yeah,
but it was good. It was fun. Man.
It was such a fun time, man. And we'll do it again. But cool. Man, we have some great sponsors on the show, and I know one of them we talked about is BioPro. So BioPro is it's a non-synthetic natural supplement for your hormones, to get your hormones going, and actually for your human growth hormone factors. And I know you're a black belt under Tom DeBlas, and he's big on BioPro. So we have some BioPro for you. You have daytime and nighttime. Been a huge. I think I've been 3 years on it now. Yeah. And man, if I miss it like a few days, I'll like, man, something's off, and I'm like, man, I didn't take my BioPro. Right. Like, especially for the cognitive function in the daytime, I feel like super clear minded, and I don't have any recovery issues, and I'm pretty sure it's related to this. And I've been doing stem cell therapy for like 3 years now down in Columbia at BioAccelerator, which is I think the combination of those two things, like literally, I don't feel any. I could train like super hard and I don't feel like any need to recover.
Yeah, I could use that.
My body's like, yeah. So, and then the nighttime formula, because day and nighttime, the nighttime, man, knocks me out and I'm getting good, good solid 8-9 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
So
I need that too.
Yeah. So we hook you up with some BioPro,
Awesome.
some Gators eyewear,
Cool.
and also, I don't know if you have a copy. I'm gonna get you copies of our books. It's my new book right here, Riptide, book 2 of my series Solid Rods. So guys, if you hadn't already done so, go pre-order a copy of Riptide on Amazon or anywhere books are sold. It's up for pre-order now. It's book 2 of my series. And we're gonna hook you up with some books, some IDEO swag, bunch of stuff, man, and look forward to the next time.
Man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then guys, we have some on our Patreon. If you're not already a Patreon member, go join Patreon. Garrett and I did some stuff from Jiu-Jitsu last night. We showed some self-defense technique, but we probably more so talked about the importance of self-defense and what you should do in your everyday life to start gearing up towards to be able to defend yourself, especially if you're a dude. You may not look as scary as Garrett, but you have to be able to protect yourself and your family.
Right.
And you have it's a responsibility. And as a female, I think it's equally important to be able to be aware, know how to defend yourself the best way possible. So go check out the Patreon. He also has had 2 clips we put on there, and you're gonna get to see some behind the scenes training of us rolling around last night. So also like this episode, make a comment, leave a comment for Garrett so he knows what you think about it. Share it as far as wide as possible, and sign up for the Patreon. We need your support. So God bless and stay resilient. Hey, what's up, Resilient family? I am so grateful for each of you who tune in every week to hear our episodes. We have such incredible guests and topics that I am passionate about, our team's passionate about, and we could not do it without you. So we're thankful for you. We love you. We appreciate you locking arms with us to be more informed, to become a more resilient community. And I want to invite you to become a tighter part of that community by joining us on Patreon. If you go to our show notes below, you can click the link and get dialed into our Patreon and get extra content weekly. You could join for $15 a month and get behind the scenes footage, get closer access to me. I have monthly Zooms that I'll be doing with some members of the community. And so we'd love to get more involved. Again, go below in the show notes and click the link and join today.